Look, I'm not going to lie, I've been guilty of some of these, and I probably still am. So I am looking forward, and I need our next speaker, Ben Albert, because he's going to teach us some content strategies and ways to build a network in a way that eliminates being known as the Icky networker. So please welcome to the stage, Ben Albert.
Thank you.
2026.
Let's throw some stuff.
For you.
Ben Albert.
They're soft, don't be afraid.
No forced handshakes, no awkward pitch. Just content with purpose that helps people click.
Here we go.
This way, I have to go real far.
Better talks. Open the right doors before you walk. No icky networking, no chasing the crowd. Lead with your value, let your content speak loud. Social media,
If I can get it back here.
let's get it started. Make some noise right now. For Ben Albert.
See, I try to throw it with this, but the bracelet comes off.
What's happening, Social Media Week, Lima? So you're creating content. You're building your network and community online. You want to grow your brand. You want to build your network. You want to help as many people as possible. I hate to say it, it's going to suck. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to fail. You're going to post the wrong thing. It will feel icky. There was a great setup here with Icky networking. I was never a big, extroverted life of the party, lots of sounds and clanking. I wasn't good at the business card handing out things. It felt icky. Posting content felt cringy. The reality is it's going to be cringe, and you are going to be cringe. It's the unfortunate truth. You are going to get this face once in a while, and you're going to look at some of the things you've said and did, and you're going to cringe at yourself. Being cringe and putting in massive effort is a non-negotiable requirement. If you're building your business, if you're building your brand, creating content, building a network, being cringe and putting in effort is non-negotiable. You have to climb Cringe Mountain to get to the land of cool. What's the land of cool? Everything just is rocking it. You've got lots of business, you're popular online, you're hitting your quarterly goals, everything's crushing it. Well, it's non-negotiable that you have to go through that cringe phase to get to the land of cool. And the thing is, you're climbing up Cringe Mountain, it's not easy, you're struggling. There are going to be people at base camp giving you some weird faces, making fun of you, judging you. They're at base camp. They're not even walking up the mountain. And anyone who's walked up to the mountain knows that you have to be cringe. You have to climb Cringe Mountain to get to the land of cool. But there's a problem. You get a little bit of momentum. You get a little bit of feedback, you start to move, and you realize that there's going to be a whole nother mountain. And getting to the land of cool is going to be way more difficult than you had originally anticipated. There's a whole nother mountain. A lot can happen. You get some momentum, then you find yourself going back downhill, back uphill. It's not going to be as easy as you thought. I call that the discouragement dip, where you're just discouraged. Is it worth it to go out there meeting people, post, learn? I'm trying to do all these things. Am I ever going to get to the land of cool? Am I ever going to reach my goals? What if I told you that we could bridge the gap, where you could skip the discouragement dip, avoid that terrible despair, get to the next mountain quicker, obviously on your way to the land of cool? We'd all want that, right? The easiest way to do it is to bring peers alongside you. If it's going to be tough, you're building a network, you're building content, you're creating, bring peers alongside of you on the journey, and mentors will help bridge that gap. They've been in the discouragement dip, they've failed, so you don't have to. So they will create bridges for you, help you along the way. They've been up that mountain themselves, so they know what it feels like to go through it. And if you bring peers alongside you, It's way more fun and way easier for everyone involved. And with good effort, some relentless pursuit, you can ascend to the land of cool. So give yourselves a round of applause for that. The key there is you don't have to climb Cringe Mountain alone. And we're going to talk about the strategy I use. Before, I just want to shout out Erica Mallet. You can write this down because it's an hour-long video. Google Real Business Connections, Erica Mallet on Real Business Connections. She created the concept of Cringe Mountain. I've expanded on it. This is my podcast where her and I basically workshop it there on the spot. She also talks about how like Kanye West is uncancelable and a bunch of controversial stuff. So look that up later, but shout out to Erica Mallet. She's the first one who taught me about Cringe Mountain. Now let's talk about a surprisingly, I don't know why it's so surprising. It's very simple. Everyone can be doing it in a seemingly unconventional content strategy that will build your network without icky networking. Before we dive in, if you don't know me yet, great to meet you. I'm Ben. I'm definitely a hippie music fan. There is a problem though. Music Ben, hippie Ben, was broke, unemployed, and non-essential during a COVID pandemic. So I had to reinvent myself and become Business Ben, who's an entrepreneur. And I utilize these strategies we talked about today to build my podcast, Real Business Connections, top 1% globally, my community of Grow-Getters only, 300 paid members, more people at virtual networking events, growth-oriented go-getters, all using this strategy. I built my podcast, my marketing company, my community, and the podcast has been endorsed and talked about by basically people that were mentors that I would listen to in bed, people that literally are speaking on this stage, from billion channel, YouTube channels, to, Cal Fussman co-wrote Larry King's book, to Mark Schaefer, Jessica Suter, so on and so forth. I don't show any of that to impress you, just to impress upon the point that I did it all using this system. I call it the CAN system, C-A-N. Create content, collaborate, community, and networking. So we're doing two things in silos a lot of the time. We're trying to create content. We want to build community, a brand. We want to post. And then we're over here networking, handing out business cards, elevator pitches, this and that. And I didn't really feel that comfortable doing either of them. So I said, what if I could create the content strategy while I network? What if the meaning and purpose behind networking was to create something new, where every time I network, I'm creating something, and every time I create something, there's networking involved. So you don't have to pick up a phone and just talk into the void because I don't feel comfortable, I feel cringy, icky doing it. What if I could find ways that I could create content and collaborate? And that's where the CAN system came about. The meaning and purpose of your creation is to network, and so on and so forth. They come together. So when you're creating and networking, together you build content, relationships, and an audience seamlessly. So it makes collaboration easy, relationship building seamless, and success feel accidental and definitely not too cringe. Now, a couple reminders, and then we're going to go over 5 or more strategies on how you can use this CAN system: content and networking, community and networking. Reminder, relationships is referrals. People are wondering how to get more referrals, build more relationships. I call it a free trial, because if I create something with a co-collaborator, if I add massive value, we work on something together, whether it's a podcast, an event, so on and so forth. We'll go over some great examples. They might have never hired me to do business, but they know what it would feel like to hire me because we've worked together on this collaboration. So a lot of the people you collaborate and network with, you're building content with, they might become clients, but beyond that, since they've received the free trial of what it's like to refer you, they're going to be your greatest advocates to grow your business, grow your brand, provide referrals for you. So let me break it down with 5 simple examples. and then I'll give you like 50 plus that you can take home later by the end of this talk. And the first one is podcasts. I want to talk about Yvonne Verity, but Ben, I'm going to talk about myself for like 20 seconds because I wouldn't have a business without it. Pandemic hit, I'm unemployed. I start Rochester Business Connections, Rochester, New York Business Connections, because I needed some. And I reached out to State University of New York, SUNY Brockport alumni, that's where I went to school, and said, hey, I'm starting this Rochester, New York-based podcast highlighting local leaders. Would you be open to get highlighted on my show? And the kid who needed connections suddenly was this like expert on marketing and podcasting and connecting, even though I hardly even knew how to use a CRM at the time. But every day I was learning from these leaders. They were becoming mentors. They were becoming peers. They were becoming advocates and sometimes clients. And I was able to build my brand and my marketing firm through this relationship, this creating and networking with business leaders in my city. Now Rochester Business Connections is 1% worldwide, and it's evolved quite a bit, but that's where I all began. And Yvonne Verity, when she started her podcast, was way farther along than I was when I started mine. I don't know if anyone knows Don and Yvonne Verity. They co-founded Clean Eats. Just out of curiosity, does anyone know Clean Eats? A few? There isn't any right here in Lima. I know there's one in Mentor. There's Clean Eats across Ohio. There's actually over 120 Clean Eats locations in the United States. It's health food. It's health cafes. They also do meal delivery, dietitians, so on and so forth. So she started with one Clean Eats, has now franchised it out to over 120. They make lots of money, help a lot of people get thin, healthy, but no one knows who Yvonne is just yet. Yvonne Verity, she starts Rebel Roots podcast because she wants to get out there. She wants to ultimately find more franchisees. She wants to build a personal brand. But more important than anything about her, she wants to highlight on her podcast, Rebel Roots, she wants to highlight rebel women, women that are crushing it, whether it's in fitness or health or entrepreneurs, but doing it a different way. She's a rebel woman. She wants to highlight these rebel women, so she brings them to come on, everything from IFBB pro bodybuilders to people that, survived a traumatic accident. And she's creating content as she networks and builds an audience with these women. Great YouTube content, social media, so on and so forth. But beyond that, we already touched on this. She owns Clean Eats. They have franchisees all across the United States. These guests would make great franchise owners, or they would make great ambassadors for Clean Eats, or who knows, they might know someone that Yvonne needs to know. So she's making these strategic relationships while she creates content, while she builds Clean Eats. And it literally came out as I was driving here yesterday. Her first ever TED Talk came out, and she was on the front cover of Wilmington, North Carolina's magazine, Wilma Magazine. Rebel Roots was on the cover. People didn't know Yvonne until she started Rebel Roots podcast, and by creating content and networking, she continues to help more men and women as she does just that. Example number 2 is my favorite one because Marcus kind of did this all accidentally, and I'm like, this was brilliant. He's like, yeah, I share the story, but it was a complete accident. Marcus loves photography. He always loved taking pictures, but his full-time job is as a financial consultant. I don't know if you guys know much about finance or have done social media for financial companies. There's a lot of red tape. There's a lot that you can and can't not say. There's compliance. You create something you love. Compliance rejects it. It creates a lot of frustration and apathy. There's nothing audacious about it. Everybody seems boring in the industry. So Marcus didn't even want to post content. He really just wasn't feeling it, but he enjoyed his photography, and his kids played Little League, so he'd go to the games, and he would, just take pictures of the games, post them on Facebook, post them on Instagram. Took a lot of passion, supporting his kids at the local games. I wasn't in the room, so I'm paraphrasing, but the parents would come up to Marcus and they would say, I don't want to be creepy, but can you take some pictures of my sons at the next game? I really want you to get up there and take a great picture of my son. So before you know it, Marcus is like, I'm going to be a full-time photographer for this next game. And he would go to the Little League games. He would take pictures of the entire game. He would get everyone's emails so he could easily take all the photos, upload them to a Google Drive, share that Google Drive file with all the families that are there at the game, and just have one document with a note. I'm giving this to you to use for, commercial free. I love to do this service, but if you can do just one thing for me, can you tag me on social media? Can you invite me as a collaborator on Instagram? It would mean the world. So now this financial advisor is taking all these photos, and his entire social media is being run by other co-collaborators, the parents, simply because they're tagging the kids in photos he took. At what point has he talked about finance? At no point. But do you think he's built crazy amounts of trust with those parents and those families that he's taking pictures of their sons? So what ends up happening is, do you do weddings? Do you do events? Well, no, I love photography, but really what I do for a living is I protect and grow the assets of families. So Marcus, from year 1 to year 2, literally tripled his new business acquisition through the relationships he built via photography without ever talking about numbers with any of these people during that lead acquisition networking phase. Very, very powerful and creative. He did it accidentally, but you can gamify it and you can ultimately be intentional with this as well. This one I want to turn into a choose your own adventure. So there's 2 things you can write down in front of you, 1 and 2. 1, I hope you already have a good answer to. What is your expertise? What is your specialty? What are you just really darn good at or really darn passionate about? Number 2, what charity, if you know the exact one, that's even better, but what charity, what cause, what's most important to you? What charity, what cause, what mission is most important to you? And then you just ask yourself a simple question. Does this charity, does this cause need my expertise? Can I apply my expertise to help people with this cause? The answer 99 times out of 100 is going to be yes. So what you can do is you can ultimately volunteer your expertise in many different ways. Joining a board's great. I'm on the board in Rochester, New York, Association of Supply Chain Management. I don't know anything about supply chain management. I don't even know how I got there, but I do some of the marketing stuff. But I have made friends on that board and community members that, I say this with love, I would have never spent any time with if I wasn't on that board. And by joining that board, I get to meet new friends, get new perspectives, learn about an industry that I didn't know quite much about. Or let's say there's a specific event that you want to highlight. You want to be a part of an event. You want to be a part of a cause. And you know that in some cases, sponsors pay hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars to be on the billboard, to be talked about on stage, to be on the ticket. You know that a sponsor slot is very valuable. But let's say in this scenario, you don't have the funds, but you know your specialties and you know the cause and you know how you can add value to that cause. You come to the organizers and you basically say, hey, I'd love to volunteer my expertise in exchange for a sponsor slot. And you do just that. And before you know it, if you're a marketer, you're doing copywriting for the event, or you're doing graphics, or you're doing the website, or you're live streaming it, or taking photos or videos. You're applying your expertise. Then you're backstage with the speakers. You're going to the special dinners. You're meeting the large donors that do have the funds. And you're building your network without icky networking, because all you had to do is apply your expertise to a cause that you cared about, and now you're in the door, and now you have a seat at the table. And I'd love to talk after and hear what you guys are passionate about, because we can choose our own adventure with this example. It's very, very valuable. It's very impactful as well. This is the lowest hanging fruit you could ever come up with. Share other people's stuff. Create content, collaborate, and network. If I don't know what to post, just share someone else's stuff. Now, this is terrible for the algorithm. Not going to pretend that it's good. I used to be an algorithm Nazi. I was timing out all my posts. I wanted to go viral. I'd get a little bit of, but nobody was buying anything from me, and I wasn't doing any lead generation or starting any conversations. And I found just by sharing other people's stuff, so let me break this down simply for you. You're going to obviously like it first. Let's assume you already hearted it. You comment, reshare, DM the person who posted it. Comment, reshare, direct message. Comment, reshare, direct message. Do you think after you reshare and commented on their post and then you message them that they're going to take your message? People are on my LinkedIn DMs all day long trying to pitch me. If they just reshared my post, DM'd me, hey, I loved your post, I appreciate it, can we start a conversation? I would take that call. So all you have to do is comment, reshare, DM. Instagram, you could just add to stories all day long. And no, this isn't great for the algorithm, but we're talking about creating a network and content without icky networking. It's a great way to get someone's attention, get in the door. And to take this strategy a little bit beyond, let's do two fun examples. So first off, LinkedIn's a great example I can show you later. You can create a custom feed. But basically, you bookmark all the people you want to follow, and then you go to the people that you ultimately want to do business with, want to collaborate with, ideal customer profile. You bookmark those people, you comment, you DM them, you reshare it. Very simple. Or let's say you take it a second level up and you actually subscribe to all your ideal customers' email lists. And the smaller the email list, the better. If you're working with niche businesses, small email list businesses, you subscribe to their email list, and all you got to do is comment on their emails. I've been through this many times myself, and with a lot of businesses I work with. They have an email list of 10,000. And they get 2 replies. Email list of 600 with a great CTA, 7 replies. Don't you think you would stand out if you were in that 7? So it's as simple as not even creating anything new, just being an ambassador for good stuff. Reply to their email, you'll get their attention, they'll want to get on a call with you. Again, you can create a very strategic, powerful network without icky networking, just by sharing their content and talking about what they do and being an ambassador for others. I love this example because I don't like this graphic. I made this graphic, I think it's ugly, but it was the very first time I went viral on LinkedIn. Was just starting my business, 4,000, 5,000 connections, but this was the first time I went viral, and then I went viral like 11 times in the course of 90 days. And it was literally just partnering with Richard Vanderbloom. So Richard had 150, 175,000, some massive amount of connections. And the short version is every year he puts out a LinkedIn algorithm report that breaks down the LinkedIn algorithm and studies like 700,000 accounts to create this report. So I said, hey, Richard, obviously your report's incredible. If you're not opposed, I'd love to create infographics that can be micro lessons for your report. I want to share with my audience. I want to tag the report, tag you, and the only thing I ask is, can I DM you as I post it? You can leave a little comment, and if you like the graphic, click reshare. And it doesn't work quite as well today as it did in 2022 when this first came out, but every time Richard reshared my post, it would go viral immediately. It would open me up to his 170,000 followers. I was getting hundreds of requests a day. I was getting people DMing me. I suddenly was this thought leader when all I did is create average-looking graphics for his incredible report. But again, create content and network. I found a way to add value to Richard's audience. So he opened that audience up to me. And he got someone creating content for him without him having to lift a finger other than just, hey, thanks for the infographic, quick comment kind of thing. So these are many, many examples, but I've written down my favorite 52. You can actually download the PDF. And I want to multitask because we only have so much time here. But scan that code, realbusinessconnections.com/Ken. And I'm going to multitask so I don't go over time. I've got these pins here. At any point, I'd love for people to come up and grab one. They are, and someone's got to come up or else I'll be embarrassed. There we go, our first taker. They're pins that represent the things that you will bring with you when you climb Cringe Mountain. You're going to see trees, you might want a camera. Each pin represents part of that journey on Cringe Mountain. And the reason that I invite you to take one is when you're being cringe, when it feels icky, when you're networking, this can serve as a reminder of many ways that we've all been cringy, we've all struggled, we all had to climb Cringe Mountain to get to the land of cool. So these pins serve as a reminder. If you'd like to take one home with you, I'd appreciate that. I also invite you guys to join my community for 90 days. It's a paid community. There's about 300 of us right now, grow-getters only, weallgrowtogether.com. And it's growth-oriented go-getters, business, marketing, sales, entrepreneurship, looking for that peer-to-peer support. If we're going to network, if we're going to create content, if we're going to climb Cringe Mountain, we want to bring peers with us. So people pay to be a part of this, but since you're here at Social Media Week Lima, you can join us free for 90 days. You just email grow to concierge@realbusinessconnections.com. If you scan the code, it'll autofill, or come to me afterwards and we can talk. I'll get you in the group. So a quick summary as we close out today's session. You have to climb Cringe Mountain to ascend to the land of cool, but there's a problem. As you gain momentum, you realize it ain't going to be as easy as I thought it would be. And it's a high probability you're going to hit a discouragement dip where you find yourself going downhill. Well, what if you could bridge the gap and not have to go up and down and up and down, new level, new devil? Let's bridge the gap. Let's get there quicker. You can do that by using the CAN system, by creating content, collaborating, and networking. You don't have to network with one silo, content in another silo. You can bridge the gap and do both of them simultaneously. And if you do that, you'll find that you're taking peers with you on the journey through Cringe Mountain. It's really not as cringy or as bad when you've got people with you by your side. Your mentors will serve as the leaders that can bridge the gap. They've been in the discouragement gap. They've struggled. You don't have to, so they'll bridge the gap for you. And if you put in a lot of work and time and you're passionate about what you do and you truly care, I promise you, it might take a little while. It's not always easy. It can be cringy. But you, my friends, will ascend to the land of cool. Thanks for having me, Social Media Week Lima. Appreciate y'all.
Outstanding. Great job, brother. All right, so we're going to do something kind of cool, a little bit